everybody, and welcome to another Top 5 board gaming video. Today's is going to be very special because it's going to be one of these where I'm going in the exact opposite direction of where I normally go, and that is to say I'm going to be talking about games that I don't like. Now specifically, these are going to be the top 5 games that I dislike the most. Now, I don't really want to use the word hate because that's really strong, and obviously different people have different opinions about games and what they like, what they don't like, all this kind of stuff. But for me personally, these are the games that I really highly likely will never want to play again ever. Now, that said, I will put in a big caveat here, which is this could easily be filled with all of these Hasbro games like Monopoly and Life and Sorry and Candyland and things of those nature, because those are meant for children, and that's fine. But just like another great one, Chutes and Ladders. You know, but the thing is that I wanted to focus on games that are designed by hobby gaming companies. That is to say, games that are supposed to be at least pretty decent. Some of the games I'm going to be talking about are from very big companies that have done amazing work both in the past and since. That said, we're going to go ahead and get started with my number 5. Number 5 is actually the only game on this list that I do not own personally. I played it once and it was actually part of like sort of an advance thing. I don't know if it was a Kickstarter advance necessarily, but either way, the game itself is a game of Gnomes. Now this game is very strange because the primary purpose of this game is to use this big giant mountain looking thing. That's really the entire premise of the game. The whole point is that you're going around and collecting mushrooms and you want to get onto this big giant mountain because that's where most of the points are. And everybody at the table who were playing it all agreed that it's like, well, this is essentially this company either found this sculpture or somebody designed it and was like, I'm going to make a game based on this. The thing is, the game itself is paced very poorly. The directions aren't great, but that's something that we can move past pretty easily. The gameplay is very slow. It's very monotonous. It's really unclear exactly why we're doing this. I am a person who really likes theme and story, even in board games, and in this case, we just do not see it. It is just a plain weird game. The one time I played it, we actually stopped early. It's a very drawn out and strange game. Again, this is on the bottom of the list as far as games that I dislike the most because mostly because, first off, I only played it once. The other games I've played more than once. But the other thing being that because it was a game that wasn't necessarily released, or I don't know if it has been yet, incidentally, but because it's not at that same tier, then I don't know, maybe it's been adjusted, but it seemed relatively clear that this game was really based off of this giant mountain sculpture thing. But either way, a game of Gnomes, my number 5. At number 4, I've got a game that I have talked about in several different contexts, and the one that comes to mind immediately was about games that are about games. And the thing with this particular one is that there are elements that I really enjoy. There are things that I love about this game, but at the same time, there are also things that I really do not like. I haven't talked about the things I don't like as much, but that said, this is why it's only number 4 on the list and not higher up. The game itself is Video Game High School. So in the context of games about games, obviously this is a board game that is about essentially a YouTube channel, a YouTube show that is about video games. The idea with this is it's a worker placement game where you go and you compete in different gaming tournaments and all this kind of stuff. You know, it's a it's a worker placement. It's a reasonably well done worker placement, but as I played it more and more, I realized that I liked it less and less. There's just something that should be more compelling for me personally. Again, this is a game that I should enjoy. It's something that it's based off of a theme that I absolutely love. It's got the idea with the YouTube channel, which is just, it's just kind of funny. It's just cool. But at the same time, it's just the gameplay just is very shallow in my opinion. There are multiple paths to victory, but the thing is that there is a very distinct right and wrong choice, for me at least, when I've played this. Whereas with most worker placements, there is rarely an objectively wrong thing to do. There is always something that you can benefit from in such a way that you can potentially win later on. But again, there are a lot of things that I do like about this game, but I don't know that I'll play it again. I may, but meh. Meh. Either way, Video Game High School, my number 4. At number 3, I've got a game that I've talked about in the context of me being a scientist. This is what I do for a living, this is what I love to do, and I've talked about this just in terms of it's a fairly simple game, it's easy to pick up and play and this kind of thing, but the thing is it does have a lot more flaws, especially as time has gone on, that I have noticed. The game itself is Monkey Lab. Now, Monkey Lab is from AEG, which is actually a pretty big company. They have a lot of games that I greatly enjoy. But Monkey Lab, again, the more that I've played it, the less that I have liked it. The biggest issue with this game is the randomness. You're talking about random distribution of cards, random distribution of monkeys, random distribution of cages, random distribution of everything. And it can be very, very frustrating. Again, am I expecting too much of a game like this? Maybe. But at the same time, just as I play it more and more, again, just like with Video Game High School, this game just seems, for lack of a better term, kind of shallow. I can see that there's a lot of potential in this one, but the randomness just tends to overtake everything. And that's actually something that you'll see, not in the next one, but certainly in the number 1, you'll see randomness. You guys know, if you watched my videos before, I absolutely detest randomness. I despise it with every fiber of my being. Randomness in a board game, without mitigating factors. Randomness in a board game is fine as long as you mitigate it with something else, some way to strategize in order to beat the randomness or compensate for it. But in this game, no such thing. You're stuck with what you're stuck with, and it's really, really unfortunate. But again, I see it as more like a family game. Like, this is a family game night type of thing. Simple, pick up, play it, do it, have fun with it while you can. But for me personally, I likely will not be playing this again unless it's in some particular situation down the line. But either way, Monkey Lab is my number 3. I will say, before I get to my number 2, that both of my top 2 games are games that, for me personally, have very few redeeming qualities. Or, at the very least, have redeeming qualities that are so minuscule compared to the rampant badness of the game that I really just can't stand either one. To start off with, at number 2 is Ladies and Gentlemen. For those of you who have not played this, the idea is that this is a game that is played in 2 teams. You have the ladies and the gentlemen. And the idea is that the ladies will go out and go shopping, and they will get dresses and purses and pretty things and this and that and the other. And the gentlemen will go and they will trade stocks, because that is manly, 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 manly. My biggest issue with this game, and I mean, maybe it's stupid because it's mitigated in the rules, but my biggest issue with this is the rampant sexism in it. I cannot stand it. It's so unbelievably frustrating. And I say it's mitigated in the rulebook because it says specifically, don't worry about the genders of your players when you're assigning them to either the ladies or the gentlemen. It's just, why don't you have like shoppers and stockbrokers? It doesn't need to be ladies and gentlemen. It's just, again, like, I can't say that it's petty, because it's not a petty complaint. It's a big deal. I feel that this game is really sexist, and I don't like it because of that. The game itself really is not that bad. It's got decent mechanics. I like the stock exchange function of it. It reminds me a little bit, at least, of like Panic on Wall Street. You've got resource management. Again, you're talking about teams of 2 people. You've got the lady and the gentleman. If you have an odd number of players, then you have, I don't remember the name of the character, but you have an additional character that does something, I don't remember exactly what. It has been a while since I played it, and you can tell why. It's because I don't like it. It's not fun. So, again, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my fault, and maybe I'm the one who's being shallow in this particular case, and seeing sexism when it's not meant to be. And again, the mitigating aspect with in the rule book saying, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, just do whatever. But for me personally, I just can't do it. I just cannot move past it, unfortunately. Call me stubborn, call me what you will, but it's a big deal for me. I don't like it. Ladies and gentlemen, is my number 2. At number 1, I have a game that you, dear viewer, may have already guessed if you have watched my videos in the past. I have talked about this game multiple times, and the only context in which I have talked about this game is how terrible it is. I've mentioned it as far as this is what it is, this is what it's based on, this is that, the other, but every single time I talk about it, I say how horrible it is and why it shouldn't exist. The game is Dexter. Oh my god, this game is terrible. Don't play it. That's all I can say. Do not play this. Every single aspect to this game is horrible. The only semi-decent, halfway okay thing is that it's based enough off the TV show that if you have watched the TV show, you can at least somewhat sort of appreciate a couple of the things that happen-ish. Other than that, no. That's really it. Like, they got the licensing for some of the faces of the actors and the actresses who were in the show, but other than that, there's really no redeeming qualities here. Every single aspect to this game is randomized, and on top of that, they actually specifically say that you do not have randomness mitigation except in one very particular case. The idea is that you have to have several things. You need to collect a person who you will be killing, you need to collect the tools which you will need to kill them, and then you need to go to the location and kill them. Alright? Now the problem is, if you know where somebody is, and you don't roll that exact number, then you move past them. Or you're right next to them, and then you don't roll a 1, or whatever it is. For the tools, you get those at the hardware store. You can stop at a hardware store, that's fine, you can stop your roll, but heaven forbid, it's one of the regular tokens that's all around the table. No, 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 no. Can't do that. That's not cool. It's absolutely horrible. There's random distribution of tokens, both the tools and the people. The cards are unhelpful at best, and at worst, actively trying to make you fail at this game. I mean, there are no redeeming qualities here. The only minor thing is if you are a fan of the show. And even then, I don't recommend it, because I'm a fan of the show, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. If anything, play it so that you can see how terrible it is. That might be fun. That's what I should do. I should do a review on this so you guys can see just how terrible it is. Either way, that said, Dexter, my number 1 game that I really, really detest. Like, hardcore. So that's it for me, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this video as always, but well, again, as always, we have some very important things to discuss here. Now, obviously, this is a video that is a little bit more like, ooh, type of thing for me, right? This is not something that I do very often. I don't like doing negative videos. The problem is, in this particular case, I feel that I should, because like my other bad stuff videos that I've done, I really want to use it as, don't do this. Like I have my videos about people in in like board game meetup groups and things like that. And like, don't behave like this because it's kind of rude and people really don't like it. Don't be that guy, you know, that kind of thing. And in this case, I mean, obviously I can't imagine that developers watch my show, but I'm saying that a lot of gamers hate things like randomness. If you're going to put randomness in your game, if you're going to put die rolls in your game, that's fine, but give us a way to fix it. Make it able to be something else, or give us a mechanic that allows us to better our roll or worsen somebody else's or something. Doesn't matter, just do something to help us out. But with that, I would love to hear what you guys have to think about this category. What are your least favorite games? More to the point, or in an additional point, what are your least favorite mechanics? That would be a fun video too, right? Right? Yeah. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say, but with that, thank you so very much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Incidentally, this is my first video with my fancy new camera. I don't know if you guys noticed, but now I'm telling you so that you know. But either way, I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so very much for being here, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much again for watching my top or bottom 5 disliked videos, depending on your opinion. Once again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Not only games that you dislike, but also just the mechanics that you don't like. What is it that you don't like about some games? What can we fix? I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say. That said, once again, I did record this with my new camera, so I do apologize for any kinks or quirks or anything. I am still trying to iron them out, but I do hope that you like the higher quality. As always, I've got several of my playlists linked up at the top of the page, so you can see more of my stuff, and you can click the big subscribe button to see more of me in the future. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is another one of these giant categories that we have a lot of. There's tons of games we don't like and a tons of reasons for them. So I hope to hear some really cool discussion from you guys. But with that, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.